How hard is it being a stay-at-home mom with the kids
Oh,
and trading?
it's only 11 grand. I've never made that much money in like a month in my life.
Why do you think it's easier to get paid out in futures prop trading than in Forex prop trading?
I was up like 7,000 and I needed one more day to take a payout.
Speaking of prop firms, who's your favorite prop firm right now?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I was like, I should be a good person and say, I don't trade when my kids are awake.
For a new trader that is struggling, they're holding their losses, they're moving their stop loss, doubling down, everything you and I have done before. What have you done to grow out of that? What's up, traders? Welcome back to the Day Trading Show. My name's Austin Silver. Today, I have a special guest. I say that I think every episode, but this one's very special because we don't have women on the show very often. We don't have women in this industry very often. So when we are blessed to have a woman who is actually a successful trader, this one's actually taken over 10 payouts, 4 of which are this year already, we need to listen. So Rebecca's here to share some value. I have her links in the description. Connect with her. Make sure you guys watch, listen, stay all the way through. There's plenty of surprises in store, especially at the end of this episode. Our sponsors are also linked below. Make sure you connect with them and check those out. We've got discount links for you down there. Thank you for being a listener. Now let's get into the conversation with Rebecca. Traders, I've got a very special guest in the building. Rebecca, I think you're the first girl on the podcast in like a year. I think you might be the first girl on the podcast since Deanna, I want to say. You're one of 5 girls to ever come on the show. So
That's
welcome,
exciting.
Rebecca. It is
Thank you.
exciting, especially exciting because today you took not your first payout. I think you said it's your 10th payout. Which one from Tradeify? Is this the third from Tradeify or fourth? First from Tradeify. Love it. So before that, you were with Top Step.
Yes.
Cool. We're going to do the whole thing because I want to
Okay.
give you a chance to speak on your journey. Before we get into that, everybody, make sure you hit the links in the description. Follow Rebecca on YouTube. Follow her on X. That's where she's posting most of her content. You're going to love this conversation. I haven't even had it yet, and I'm going to tell you that you guys are going to love it. So if you're driving, we're not going to do any screen share today, but still, you might want to save this for later when you can take some notes. Rebecca's going to share a lot of good tips. We kind of set the stage for this, I feel like, Rebecca, with the hot seat episode where we went over your TradeZella stats. We showed everybody like you're more short bias than long bias, which still holds true. So I think let's do story first, how you and I met, how we got into the trading together now, and then we'll go into strategy after.
Okay.
All right. So when I think about our relationship, Rebecca, I think back to when you and I were working together, trading Forex, and you were helping us with blogs.
Yeah.
How did you find me? And what year was it? Because this is probably like 2017, 2018.
It definitely, because I'm thinking it's when I moved to Italy and
Yep.
like tried to find a job in Italy, which did
Yep.
not work. And so it was, around 2017, 2018. And I just Googled like ways to make money from home.
You and
And
everybody else.
there
And
you were.
that was even before COVID when it got
I
super
know,
popular. Yeah.
I know. And then there you were. And I've always been kind of like inclined to stocks and interested in money. And I've always found that really interesting. So I saw you and I was like, yeah, sure. And then I was like, this is a scam. And actually, I think what happened is somehow, do you remember what it was called? That like group where it was a pyramid scheme. The people that you got to sign up, what was it called?
IML, iMarkets
IML.
Live. Yep. I
I
remember.
found, are they still around?
I hear they are like in other countries and they changed their name. I'm not sure.
They're like, we gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are on to us. I found them first, unfortunately. And then I chatted with you, and then you were like, let's hop on the phone. And then we chatted, and I was like, okay, this seems legit.
Yep.
And that
Different
was
because
it.
like when I found IML, I was like, oh, this is sick. Like I can introduce people to trading because no one at the time around me knew what trading was. But very quickly we saw that company was not interested in actually making you a profitable trader. They just wanted you to sign up your cousin and your mom and your friends and all that. So for
Yeah.
like people like you and me that were actually interested in markets, it got kind of played out. Why did you
Oh, yeah.
switch from Forex to futures back at the beginning of last year? If you're tired of wasting money and time on sim funding challenges, Top One Trader has an offer for you. They now have instant funding accounts, which means you can start trading towards a payout today with no challenge and no waiting. It's an incredible offer. As long as you follow the consistency rule, you can be eligible for a payout in your first week of trading if you take advantage of some of the unique offers that Top One has, like their instant payout add-on. Now, if you go back to episode 147, I interview a guy named Derek. He made over $100,000 with Top One last year. He shares his experience with Top One as a firm in detail in that podcast episode. So definitely check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about what traders are saying having traded with Top One. Their customer support we know is top notch. We know that they are paying people out with no issues. So to me, them getting in the instant funded game was a no-brainer. So check it out. Thank you to Top One. Happy trading. If you're serious about taking your trading to the next level in 2025, you need to be tracking your trades the right way. Most traders don't struggle because of lack of skill. It's because they lack data-based insights on their own performance. And that's where TradeZella comes in. You're going to be able to see strengths and weaknesses, see what's working well for you, see what you're not doing well. And then you're going to be able to double down on what's actually working by identifying your most profitable setups. You're going to be able to review and detail each trade with precision. And that's going to help you identify new patterns and make more money. I've been using TradeZella for the last 3 years. Everybody that we send to them absolutely loves them. So use the code ASFX10 for 10% off your monthly, or the better deal, use the code ASFX20 to save 20% on your yearly membership. Good luck and happy trading.
To be totally honest, I just followed you. I just like trusted you. I could see that there was a market shift. I could see like I actually came back. So I took a really long break. We met a long
Yep.
time ago. I traded for a little bit. I took a long break, had a baby, had a couple babies, and then came back. And I actually came back to Forex. Um, Struggled with it. And then I was still a part of the group, the ASFX group on Discord, and it was just like futures, 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 like one by one, everyone just like started going, and then I was like, I'm hopping on the train.
Were you in Canada or is still in
Nope,
Italy?
I
No,
was
still in
in
Wh- Switzerland?
Switzerland.
Switzerland? Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what's interesting there, it's like in Switzerland, technically, I guess it depends on where your residence was, but you could have stayed trading Forex. You didn't have to switch over, but it ended
Mm-mm.
up being extremely profitable for you because you had not taken any Forex payouts, right? All the
No.
payouts for you is futures.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go on that for a minute. Why do you think it's easier to get paid out in futures prop trading than in Forex prop trading?
I don't know, like, if you talk to people who understand the market better than me, they probably talk like Zach talks about like spreads and fills and how they're definitely more favorable for the retail trader in futures. I'm not like, I don't know that much about that because I didn't spend that much time in Forex, but I found that you were really limited in your leveraging. You were really limited in your um, like the stages of the challenges were a lot more difficult.
That's true.
And so it just took a long time to get into any kind of position where you would be funded. And also, I was just really new.
So true. I think of course, I want to say we've become better traders. Of course, I want to say coaching has gotten better around better traders. That's lifting but I do wonder how much easier is it to get funded and get payouts in futures compared to CFDs because of just the price. So people can buy more of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can
Yeah, they were
fail a couple
expensive.
of them. Right. So wait, I know you didn't want me to ask this, but do you know off the top of your head now how many you've failed to get those 10 payouts?
I thought you were gonna ask me how much I spend. I'm like, my husband might watch this, so I'm not gonna ask him that.
Yeah.
How many I failed?
Yeah.
I would say like funded or like challenges.
Anything. Anything.
Funded, I think I've failed at like anywhere from 7 to 10. Um, and that was in like a short period of time. So that sucks, that feeling, right? And then I held on to them for a long time after that. Um, Challenges, probably like 20.
Yeah, that's still not that many compared to some people, as you know
I
now,
know.
since you're doing your affiliate stuff now with us. Like you see, some people will buy 20 in a day. It's
I
crazy, right?
know. I know.
When you went through the period of like failing a lot of them in a short period of time, what was going on then? Was that right when you switched to futures? Like what was the difference between then and now when it's like, I feel like now you haven't burned an account in a while. Like you've been just adding accounts and taking more payouts. So what's the shift?
Reality, I think, was the shift. Like you join into it and you just see people getting huge payouts, which is totally an option. I was brand new and I was like, wow, look at all this money that I can make. And I remember with my very first funded, I was like slinging minis. Like I would just trade two minis like as a base. And, it would go in my direction for like 5 points and I would take my profit. Like I wouldn't, I'd be like, sweet, out. And then I remember specifically, it was in September. I was up like 7,000 and I needed one more day to take a payout. And like for me, that's not life-changing money, but kinda like to go from like a stay-at-home mom not making any money to also have like 7 grand in my bank, which Canadian is like, I don't know, 11 grand.
Canadian, you can buy the whole country.
I know. It's only 11 grand. I've never made that much money in like a month in my
Right.
life. And then I remember I was like watching it and it was up $600 and I didn't close. And then my husband came into the room. He didn't know I was trading because, it was like a hush hush thing. And now he knows it's fine. But and then he asked me a question and I was like, I didn't respond to him. And then he asked me again and I was like, I'm trading. And he was like, oh, this trade. And then I was distracted and it just shot right up against me. And so I
Really?
closed it for like, oh yeah, then I closed it for like minus 800 and then I just tilted. That was my first experience ever with tilt. And I lost my all set like 7K.
Wow.
And I was like, well, there she goes. And then now I have come down to earth. And so that happened to me, and I think I tried for like two or three more funded trading minis, and I was like, this ain't working for me. And so then I scaled down to micros, and that got me payouts.
Micros got you payouts more than
Hmm.
minis.
For sure, micros got me
Okay.
payouts. Yeah.
Come back to position size for sure. How
Hmm.
did you deal with I'm asking this question. I kind of know the answer, but I want the listeners to hear. How did you deal with the whole situation with your husband not supporting you? Because I think to most of the listeners that are men, to hear that your husband didn't support you trading is going to actually surprise them.
I think it's like a very foreign idea for like I won't say Europe because I don't know, but definitely for like Italians, this idea um, seems scammy, seems like very foreign.
The
How did I
culture is
deal with
not
it?
based around money and work. The Italian
No,
culture is not
no,
based around.
no, no. It's definitely like paycheck to paycheck, and then there's just like generational properties that stay in
Yep.
families for like hundreds of years, and then that's just kind of how they do.
Yep.
Um, How did I deal with it? You know what? I've always been the kind of person who does the opposite of what someone tells me to do. And so, because I want to prove people wrong, and I basically just ignored him and then did it until I got a payout. And then I was like, there you go. Look, it's legit. And he was like,
So
okay.
basically, as much as he wanted to call it a scam, once he saw the first payout, he was like, okay, I got to shut up a little bit more now.
Yeah, and he also
I love
just
that.
saw that like I really enjoy it. So he saw that I'm like I was studying the charts at every moment, which was too much, but every moment I could, the charts were open on my computer,
Oh, I
and I
even
was
think still
like,
now, like you're still trading on a Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock
I'm done,
Eastern time. Like
I'm
I
done,
know now you're done because we're doing this, but
I'm
otherwise you'd
done.
still be looking at it.
I
So
would I have it open, but like I can't see it. I have
right,
one computer, I have one
it's
screen.
I think a lot of the listeners will relate to the fact of like wanting to prove someone wrong, chip on the shoulder, like just tell me I can't. I told Riley I was like, tell me I won't sell 40 tickets to the boot camp. She was like, you won't sell 40 tickets to the boot camp. I'm like, yeah, you're right, and now I did. So it's like I totally think a lot of our listeners will want to get that, like with the wanting to prove someone wrong, just give you some motivation.
Yeah,
But then I think too to have him open minded enough to be like, yo, I'm gonna shut up now and like support this a little bit more. And now
yeah,
10 payouts later, it's much different conversation.
yeah,
But it starts with the obsession, which I think a lot of people also listening to this will relate to, like the obsession of looking at charts, even when you know you probably don't need more chart time, you still want it. I think that's the bug. So
yeah,
now, looking at the last 6 months, are there any other major takeaways as we're like talking about your story leading up to today? Because I do want to get into strategy and stuff and talk about
yeah.
what you're doing now. Is there anything else over the last 6 months that's changed, right? To like lead, I mean, this year alone, it's March, end of March. So we're basically 3 full months in. You're at what, 3 or 4 payouts this year already? I think a lot
Yeah.
of people would kill for a payout every month, even if it is only 1,500 1 month and then 7 grand the next month, whatever it is. I think people would kill for that consistency. In
Hmm.
so what would you say is something you're doing well, like that you could give as a tip?
I would say I'm not focused on the payouts, so I'm just focused on trading day it like one day at a time, genuinely. And I think that as it developed over time. Like I was $180 away from qualifying for this payout 2 days ago, and I'm like, I'm not going to try and force something just to get the payout. And when you really think about it, most people get paid biweekly. So why are we trying to get a payout every 5 days? Like it's just kind of unrealistic. And I think prop firms know that, and they put that like pressure on us to go for that payout, and push it further than we should, I guess, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then there's that, and then there was one other thing. Yeah, I also just like really proved to myself that I could hold an account
How
for a
long did
long
you have the
time.
account?
My longest was 122 days.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
impressive.
And then my other one was like 90, and then like 85, and then 80. I had four that I kept
So
for
you
a
can
long time.
keep the funded accounts too. So that was a shift. Stopped burning them as much.
Yeah.
What would you say that was the micros that made that happen? Going from
My
minis to micros?
Yeah, micros, and I think that like to toot my own horn, I do think I have really good risk management. I'm okay with walking away from a red day. And it's just, yeah, micros definitely helped, but just being able to be like, okay, I have two trades. If they're both red, they're both red. But you got to keep it within your limits and then walk away.
What do you think about the commissions on the micros? Because some of our guys that are listening to this, they're going to be like, yeah, Rebecca, for a new trader, I get it. But like, I don't like the commissions. They're eating me up. What are your thoughts on
Okay.
that? Do you even notice it?
I mean, I just got a $1,500 payout, so I don't really care about the commissions.
I kind of think, in the same boat. I'm like, are we really worried about commissions on a sim account? Like, we're all talking for the most part about
Exactly.
sim accounts.
Exactly.
Speaking of prop firms, who's your favorite prop firm right now?
I actually really love a new prop firm in this space. I do love Tradeify. I do really like Tradeify. I wish
I feel
Tradeify
like you're
had
saying
Project
that almost
X.
like because you feel like you have to. You don't have to love Tradeify, all
I
right?
do
Just
I
because you
do
took a
really like
payout
them
from
because they
them,
pay out quick. They pay
they
out
pay out
super
quick.
quick.
Yeah.
They are reputable. I love their growth account. So
Oh
I
yeah,
love their
for sure.
50K growth account. They like I got it for 60% off. It's like $72. I don't have to pay an activation
Yeah,
fee.
beat that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, hello. I wish they had Project X. If they had Project X, they might be my number one. I don't
You
love
know what? Let me
Trade
say this too on that. Brett told me they were getting that in February, and it's about to be April, so they're late on that for sure. Especially
Yeah,
because people will be hearing about some things probably 2 days after this episode comes out, where that's going to be something much more available in the industry.
it's just so user friendly.
It is. What were you going to say though about the other firm?
Oh, okay. So I've kind of like just discovered this new firm called the Futures Desk, and I really like them for my kind of trading because they really promote like a slow and steady growth until you get to your live, which is a really fast process. It's a two-step process, and you actually can argue like your case basically with a risk manager to go straight into live after you pass your evaluation.
Really?
Yeah, and then you talk chat with a risk manager. Like they pay all your brokerage fees. They pay like they cover all of that, all the data fees, and then they increase your like daily loss limit. They have uncapped payouts, daily payouts, and you carry over the drawdown that you choose for yourself. You can make your own plan that you choose for yourself into your live. So it's not zero. For me, it'll be minus 2250 or minus 3000 because I have two accounts that I'm working on.
That's pretty cool. So I like that they went at that with like the customization angle, right? So it's
Mhm.
like build it yourself. If you think you can do it this way, go for it. I feel like the live accounts though really shouldn't have a daily loss limit. I don't know why. I think to be
Uh,
competitive, I feel like some of these other firms are getting away from daily loss limit in live account. You could set one yourself,
yeah,
but I don't know if a lot of them are enforcing it.
I'm like, let me go check really quickly if they have
Yeah.
because I'm not live with them yet, but I'm I'm halfway through my
Is the
assessment.
is the main thing you've enjoyed about this firm particularly just the customization aspect of it and the Project X? That's really the main difference.
No, actually, I like the customization for sure, but I do like that it forces you to be the trader that you're going to be when you go live. So, if you're looking to pass challenges in a day, which I do with Tradeify, then it and that's all you want to do, then that might not be the route that you want to go. I like to have them as another firm where I'm like, for me, this is long game. Like this is end game. This is long term. I'm developing really good habits with them, and their dashboard and their reporting is insane.
Really?
So yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting. All right. Well, if you get to know
Yeah,
somebody at the firm, I'd love to interview him. If you know
I
some
do,
any
I do, I do. I
get
work
get
with
me in
them,
touch
so
with the
I'm
guy that
like in
runs the
touch with
company.
them.
Yeah, let's get him on the show. I think people
Yeah,
would like to hear. Part
yeah.
of the reason I've never become like really exclusive with one firm is just because I feel like there's always new things out there, and I like to be able to talk about it for the audience because that's how I found instant funding. Like
Yeah.
now, what's funny? You took a bunch of payouts with Top Step this year, right? Because
Hmm.
you said only one's with Tradeify, the rest were Top Step. But Top Step's probably never going to do an instant funding account for whatever reason. They don't want to do that. So that's pretty crazy. That's what Patak said on stream. So do you feel like instant funded is the way everyone is going to go basically now? Because once you leave a challenge account, you do both now, you said, but once you leave a challenge account and go instant funded, don't you feel like that's the best opportunity? Or do you feel like because you can pass the challenges fast, it doesn't really matter?
The second one,
Okay.
because
Tell me why.
I'm just trying to keep my costs low. So even if it takes me 3 times to pass the growth challenge, it's still less expensive for me than straight to funded.
And are there
Um,
payout caps on these other accounts? I don't know off the top of my head. Like on a straight to funded, you have payout caps. So is there payout caps on the growth and the advanced accounts too? I'm sure, right? There
yes,
has
but
to
your
be.
consistency is greater. So I have a
Greater.
35%
Yeah.
consistency rule instead of 20.
Yeah. How do you feel about the consistency rule? 30%, 20%. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, again, it kind of forces you, like, if you're in this because you want to be a serious trader and you want it to be a long-term thing, then like a consistency rule shouldn't bother you. If you're in it because you just want to make, like flip an account or make $10,000 in a day, and you don't care about that, then like really longevity wise, I don't know, right? So I don't
100%.
mind it. Doesn't bother me.
Me
Like I'm
neither.
trading micro, $750 a day. Why do I need to make more than that when I'm trading 3 accounts?
And even
750 times 3. Well, actually
to
trading 5, but
I know what you mean though. But like to
mhm.
take that a step further, it's like think about from a new trader's perspective, like whether you buy a straight to funded or a growth, the 150K is like straight to funded. It's like $3,700 of daily drawdown. Like you have so much wiggle room to play
Mhm.
to make the small nut to stay within the consistency rule because you really don't want to make too much or lose too much. So it does really give you good bumpers. Like I almost think it's better for a new trader. Almost like in some ways because it has those tighter rules, these tighter consistency rules favor teaching you good habits. I totally agree. Because the whole
Mhm.
days of sim farming, running up a big XFA, like I've done that. Like the last top step payout I took when I cleared that XFA, the first trade, I think I told you this, the first trade on that was like 4,700. It was a huge trade, got me way into profit. And then I took a bunch of small trades and took a bunch of payouts on that account because I
Right.
milked it, right? So they're
Right.
trying to get away from that, which feeds us to our next point of like live. So do you plan on going live with any of these firms? Like, do you want to go live or are you just going to open your own account? Because that's a super hot topic right now. People are like, Rebecca, I want to trade my own money because I can get the tax advantages in my country and blah, blah, blah. But then some of these prop firms are trying to push me live too. And then they're dangling a carrot of like why you should trade live with them. So what's been your thoughts on that? Because you're eventually going to get called up to live. Taking the payouts that you're taking, you're going to get a live call up here.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Um, I am not in a position in my life to have a personal account with enough capital to make it worth it for me.
So for
So,
you, props a great opportunity.
yeah,
That's what you're
yeah,
gonna say. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed.
yeah.
And I
If
think,
mhm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'd like to be able to have like at least 20K, 25K, that is money that if I lose it, I don't care. And that would be what I would do for a personal account, but I'm just not in that position.
And that your husband doesn't care.
And my husband doesn't care. Yeah.
Well, like, I think like you see
We'll never
Mark,
be in that position.
it's going to have to be $20 million.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I think like if you look at Mark in the Black Shirt Club, everybody,
Hmm.
Mark's been on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, episode like 150 something, 157, I think.
Hmm.
Mark has personal and prop, but he's like using the personal and he doesn't have a ton of money in there, like 10 or 15 grand.
Yeah,
And then he's
we
taking
chatted about
payouts
it.
weekly. Yeah. So that could be something down the road for you as you take a couple more payouts, could be. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of firms that are going to be moving people to live more and more this year. So for you, I think one of the things you probably want to do research on, Rebecca, is like, what's the best firm to be live with to scale the most with? Because now that like we've talked about, you've kept accounts, you're going to be one of the people that they see your stats and they're like, okay, we could definitely put this person into live. She's not flipping accounts. She's not sim farming. So then you have to be the one that's like, well, who deserves me kind of to put me to live? Who's going to scale me the most? Who's going to give me the right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that would be something I'd be thinking about for sure. We'll talk more about that in the Black Shirt Club.
Okay.
Let's touch on the Black Shirt Club and then let's go into strategy.
Okay.
So everybody, the story is like Rebecca kind of worked with me writing the
Hmm.
blogs. Then she took a break. Then she came back. And when you came back, you join the Black Shirt Club. You're now
Yeah.
in the elite program, so you've been staying with us. We still talk every day. We still trade together every day. Like
Yeah.
you do a great job of doing your daily report cards. How
Thank
has the
you.
Black Shirt Club played a role in your success and in your failures? How has it helped on both sides?
I think that since I was a new person to futures, it was like instrumental in setting me up to take payouts or like get me in a position where I can get payouts. I mean, our one-on-one coaching, it was just I would never be able to find that elsewhere. Just with your experience on how to handle multiple accounts, like how should I leverage this one? How should I, what should my risk be on this one? Like how do I don't know. I wouldn't have known, right? So that's really helpful. But also, I do like to do my entries and exits on my own. Like that's kind of something like I don't like to let other people influence me on that because people don't love a shorts only trader. So I don't let people influence me on that. But then like debriefing, chatting about it, encouraging each other, supporting each other. Like, can you imagine you lose 5 grand one day and you have no one to talk about it?
Yeah, trading alone
When?
sucks. Trading alone.
Yeah, like how
But then on the other
terrible.
side too, like sometimes I see shorts that I don't know if I like, but then I see you take it and it helps me understand how you see it. And then I think also vice versa, like you've improved on your longs when you do take them by
Mhm.
seeing so many of the people in the group do longs. So talk a little bit about that, playing really one side of the market, because it definitely comes up probably 1 in 5 podcasts here of me talking about new traders that struggle, just pick one side of the market. How did that impact you? How did you kind of process that decision through our coaching?
Um, I mean, first of all, I went off of feeling. So like looking at my journaling, looking at my charts, looking at my entries, looking at my profits, all that stuff is really interesting. But what led me to look into that was like how I felt when I was in a long, and I really struggled to hold on to my trade and be convicted in my trade when I was in a long, which caused me to close early, which, like caused me to go break even, losses, whatever. But I had a lot of anxiety when I was in
Interesting.
a lot of stress. And I was like, let me check this out. I think you were like, let's check this out in your TradeZella. And so we filtered it long and short. And my long was like minus 10K and my short was like plus 10K. And I was like, well, there you go.
Interesting.
hmm
Why would longs create anxiety? People
Because they
listening,
just take so long to get
is
to
that why?
there.
I want to know too
Yes.
from the commenters, like everybody in the comments, if you listen 25 minutes into the podcast, you listen to the whole episodes, we love you. Why do you think some people on the long side feel anxiety and then some people on the short side feel anxiety? Like, where does that anxiety come from? Is it just speed, right? Like, are you anxious in your shorts, Rebecca? Like, or do you ever get
No.
anxious because why? Because you know they can move fast? Does that relieve your anxiety? Because you're like, oh, just give this a minute and it could go. Like, what relieves the anxiety? I'm just curious.
I mean, yes, like when you're right on a short, you know it quickly. And I feel like when you're wrong on a short, you know it quickly, especially with my setups and my entries. With a long, it like that's what's that saying? It's the stair like a long is stairs up and elevator down. Like I'd rather be on
Exactly.
the elevator.
Yep.
Cardio, I mean, no thanks. I'm
What
just kidding.
when you think about I don't blame you. When you think about two shorts, like if they move quickly, like, and maybe we should give context too, like what's your average trade time?
Oh, I think it's like that's a good question. I can look really quickly,
Yeah,
but I think it's
pull
like
it up. We
I
got
think it's
time.
like 6 minutes.
So if the average trade
Um,
is 6 minutes, everybody, like what I'm saying is you really should see like I notice, I feel like the people that like to trade even faster like the shorts, and the people that can sit in a position a little bit longer without anxiety tend to do better with longs. You put in a decent stop, you can normally make some money on those longs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
Six
was
minutes.
just pulling it up, but so average, can you hear that like leaf blower in the background? They know that I'm doing this podcast. So like, let's
No, you're
wait
good. We
and
can't
leaf
hear it.
blow
No, no,
right
we like the leaf
now.
blower. They got to work. They got
Oh,
to.
okay, good. Actually, I'm wrong. Look at that. This is why we
Oh,
have our stats, people.
yep.
My average trade duration is 32 minutes.
Okay, but that's sometimes too because you're leaving a piece in, right? You're not full in,
Yes,
full out, are you?
yes. No.
Right, right. So that's probably why.
Yeah,
I bet you if you looked at like the majority of the position, you're full in, full out of that in half that time.
yeah, it's true.
Majority. Yeah.
Yeah,
When you look at risk management, because you mentioned that you feel like risk management is a strength of yours.
yes.
What part, before I ask my second question, what part of risk management do you feel stronger in? Cutting losers quickly or maximizing winners?
Cutting losers quickly.
Okay, so then how do you develop that? Like for a new trader that is struggling, they're holding their losses, they're moving their stop loss, doubling down, everything you and I have done before. What have you done to grow out of that?
I mean, when I look at my entries, they will represent if the my trade idea is still valid. So, you know, I need to be able to decide. And now I've shifted a little bit where if the stop loss is too big, I'll size down. So I won't be tempted to cut it like right away. But I have my parameters, and if it's kind of going against me, I will cut it. And then if it continues to go in my trade idea, the same entry will present, and I'll enter it again.
Love that. Do you
Hmm.
find yourself adding into trades? Because people might want to know that as well. Are you
I
adding
do.
into these? Okay.
I
How
do.
much, like, are you always starting with a feeler position?
Yeah, so it used to be like 3 micros. Depending on the stop loss, like I had a stop loss a few days ago that was like 30 points. And so that was like I did 2 micros, I think, and then I added in kind of as it went my way. But usually it's five and then I'll add up to seven.
And is that on a 50K account, 100K
Mm-hmm.
account, just so people
50K,
50Ks?
50K.
Okay. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that there's room to go up? Like, do you see any opportunity to size up on the 50Ks? Because I think some people may hear that and say that that's small. Do you feel like there's more wiggle room, or do you feel like this is the limit of size for the way that you trade?
That's a limited size for the way that I trade because say it's 5K, excuse me, say it's you have $2,000 of drawdown. If you have a 5 micro trade and you have a 10-point stop loss, that's $250. And usually my stop losses are bigger than 10 points. Usually they're like 15 or 20. So now you're like $500. You want to give yourself a good two trades. If I hit red on both, that's $1,000. That's half my drawdown. Why would I want to go bigger than that? If anything, it's almost too big.
I think too, it's really good that you say that because a lot of people maybe will hear the way I talk about it and be like, okay, this guy's just blowing money on these things. Like he doesn't care to fail them because he gets them for free or he's blowing money. But then you have, I think, a much more like realistic approach almost of like, I'm not trying to blow through these things that quickly, right? Like that's a
Hmm.
theme in everything you've been saying. And I think that
Yes.
that aligns with that too. How
Yeah.
do you see, before we go off of the risk management, I have to ask one more question. How do you see adding into losers? Are you ever adding into losers or do
No,
you only add into winners?
no, I don't add into losers.
Okay.
No, because then my loser will just be a bigger loser. So I'm not going to do that. When I add in, because that might be a question, how do I decide when to add in?
Yeah.
I will add in if I'm able to move my stop loss so that the like the new loss is similar to the original loss. So like I have a YouTube video about my setup. So if you go watch that, you'll know what I'm talking about. I use the New York VWAP as an indicator of where I want to put my stop loss. I usually put it above because I know that price retests New York VWAP a lot. If I'm in a trade and I'm still in it, because sometimes I hold them and I want to get more profit, and then say it comes back and then like a new entry kind of presents and the New York VWAP has fallen enough that I can significantly move my stop loss down, I'll add in. So now my risk is still minus, 300 or
That didn't
400.
change, but now if it goes further, you make more money.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you find now as we transition into strategy, do you find yourself with shorts more trading with VWAP, like the 930 VWAP is in your favor, you're selling it, we're moving lower, or do you find yourself trading more reversions back to VWAP? Do you know?
I do not trade reversions back to
Okay.
VWAP
So it's all
right
in
now.
trend based on like today's VWAP and yesterday's VWAP, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And the low of day. It is with today. Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you not take reversions? Why have you strayed away from that?
Because to be honest, usually it's the time of day. So usually when an actual inversion presents, I'm like doing preschool drop off. I'm not like I can't be on my computer actually watching
Hat.
price. Yeah, my mom hat is on. I'm on mom duty. So and the other thing is too, that's the number one reason. The number two reason is that often price kind of like if you're at a key level and you're looking for that reversion back down to the VWAP, the New York VWAP, for example, usually price plays around. And so then often I found I was like cutting my loser quick, cutting my loser quick, cutting my loser quick, cutting my loser quick, and now my mental game is destroyed. Like paper cut after paper cut after paper cut after paper. I'm okay doing it like once or twice, but like sometimes it can play around for three or four. So you got to 3 or 4 times. So you got to be able to be like, okay, I got to put my stop loss like way above and walk away. Those are trades you like got to walk away from. And I don't want to, I don't know. I like having like my three for now, my three setups. I don't want that many setups.
Yeah, because it makes it more complicated. What's
Yeah.
your opinion on 1R? Let's get into the dirty stuff now. This is like the
Nah.
this is like maybe the hottest thing of the year here for us so far. Is like everyone on Twitter loves to rip up the ASFX people because we don't care about 1R. Yet our guys are up almost like 150 grand in payouts already this year.
I know someone commented like you're not a professional trader if you don't care about RR. And I'm like, well, like what about win rate? And they're like, oh wait, actually, like if your win rate is low but your RR is high, or if your win rate is high but your RR is low, I guess. I'm like, well, there.
Oh, you can do math. Random person on Twitter. Good. Yeah, I'm tired of people saying
Yeah.
that. So give us your take on the 1R. Like, how are you handling that? Because you know a lot of people will take a trade and sit in it for 1R, even if it's 3/4 of the way or more to their take profit, and they won't do anything. So what have been your adjustments? How have you seen, using 1R as a take profit?
Yes, so over the last year, my opinion of RR has changed. I mean, first of all, in today's market with Trump and his tweets, like you got to be prepared to take your profits when you see them. And if you're obsessed with RR, then just trail a stop. Um, if that's, your thing, if that's part of your edge. I my my strategy specifically, if I'm going to cut as part of my risk management, if I'm going to cut my losers quickly, I can't be concerned about RR or win rate. I need to like it just I don't know. I just think like as a beginner trader, and maybe like yeah, more experienced traders will disagree with me, even though I think you agree with me. If you see profit, especially in these markets, you should be taking profit. And then something I've exercised is if I want more profit, what I'll do is if another entry presents, I will enter into it, but I will ensure that my stop loss still leaves me green on the day so I can get more. Like maybe the RR should be looked as more of like a day thing than it is as a per trade thing. So if my risk for the day is 500, I want to be trying to make at least 500
I think
from
that's
the
a good
day.
tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the 1R, it's tricky because like what if you take the trade a little bit later than where you should have? Are
Mhm.
you going to go for 1R at the proper entry or 1R from your entry right now? So it's like, what are you even basing the 1R on? The market doesn't care about your 1R. Let's say
Mhm.
1R is above the current high of day. Are you not going to do anything when we get to the high of day that it might reject and come down off of if you're long?
Exactly.
Right. So I
Yeah.
think it's very fluid. As I've seen,
Mhm.
futures are definitely more volatile now with Trump in office for sure, since the start of
Mhm.
this year for sure. With volatility, smaller size, bigger stops, and take profit as you can because you can always get back in. How many times have we seen people even do what you said and trail the stop and then get tapped and leave some money on the table? I
Yeah.
said this, I think this is a good tip too. If you, let's say you're doing 5 contracts all the time and then you leave one, you trail one for fun, like we always say, but then you give that one back every trade. And let's say you win 80 trades in a year, that's 80 contracts right there, right? Like you could have made a little bit more money on it. It adds up over 80. You'd want the 80, but you don't want it one because it's small and we're all short-term gratification focused and could make a little bit more, right? So it's like a refocus on that even. So what would you say like percentage wise on your trades? Are you full in, full out versus trailing a stop? How often are you trailing a stop?
Mm, like 5% of the time.
Okay. So most of the time, full in, full out, find the next trade.
Yeah.
And
I'll trail a stop if there's like a really big bar down. Then
and
I
if
might
you
trail.
if you win the first trade of the day, do you keep trading or do you stop?
Depends. On a Friday, I won my first trade and I'm done.
Okay.
If that's a very good question. If it's a super like trending day, I will enter again. But like I said, I'll ensure that my stop loss leaves me green up on the day. Um, if it's like a bullish day or if it's a rangy day, then I won't keep trading. I'll take my profits.
Maturity right there, Rebecca, because I think a lot of
Mhm.
people would not do that. Do you have a
Oh,
set
I
time
do. Trading?
right? Yeah, yeah. Do you have a set time of day that you won't trade, or because you're in Europe? Well, you're in Canada now, so because you're all over the place and you don't really live in any time zone, you're an international nomad. What are you doing as far as hours in the day that you're trading?
I knew you were going to ask me this, and I was like, I should be a good person and say, I don't trade when my kids are awake or like doing preschool drop off, and that's a lie. I won't get into a trade. If I'm still in a trade, I will kind of manage it. I usually trust my, like in that case, I'm full in, full out. I will trust my stop loss and trust my take profit. I won't like manage it because
Okay.
I'm totally distracted, and you make bad decisions when other things are distracting you. But no, I don't think that there's a time. Like I don't trade power hour.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. How can you give a little bit of an insight? Like, I mean, I have a kid, but my wife takes care of the kid all day. How hard is it being a stay-at-home mom with the kids
Oh
and trading?
gosh, it is okay. Without trading involved, it's the hardest job in the entire. It's so hard, but it's so fun and it's great. But I I found when I kind of first got in and I had that big loss, for example, and when I first started trading futures, man, like if I took a loss and my kid was like, "Mom," but they don't just say "mom" once, right? They're like, "Mom, mom, 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 mom," and you're like, "Holy shit!" And I would like just be so, I wouldn't rage, but I would be really frustrated and snappy and like I wouldn't be myself, you know? And it's not his fault. Like he's 3. He doesn't know that mama just lost 7 grand. So he doesn't know that. And so I think that has made me tone down kind of my trading risk too, because if I'm too heavily sized, I'm way too emotional and I'm a shitty mom, to be honest. Am I allowed to say shitty? I'm
Yeah.
a I'm a bad mom because it does, as much as we like to think we're not emotional about charts, it trickles into our emotional about trading, it trickles into our everyday life. So if I need to be putting myself in a position where if I take a full loss, I can still be a good mom. So there's that. And also, if your kid is super distracting you, like set your TP, set your SL, and just walk away. Stop loss and just kind of like walk away or get out of your trade, you know?
Great advice. I think people will appreciate your honesty. Mom rage is a real thing, Rebecca. I see it with my wife, so I know it's a real
Real
thing.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Trading is super rewarding because it gives you the opportunity to make money from home, but it is definitely difficult. And you see it now that you've been in the game as long as you have. So like today we talked about your strategy, we talked about your story, talked about some of the struggles. I meant to ask you a couple of other like hot take questions because you are a female in a very male dominated industry. And
Yeah.
I asked this same question to Tori Trades. It's like the title of our video. But how many weirdos are in your DMs? I'm just curious. Dick pics, weird,
Oh,
creepy
tickets? No.
DMs? No dick pics?
No, I would
No,
die. Not yet. Maybe I haven't
not
made
yet. Right, right. When you make it, a couple more payouts and they'll start sliding in. You know what I'm saying?
it. I don't want any more payouts.
Yeah. No more payouts, no more dick pics,
It's not
please.
worth it. Gross. There's a few, but like I'm pretty surprised how just like out in the open it is, like in comments and stuff too. I'm like, oh, you have like no shame. But there's a couple in my DMs, but nothing weird, just more
Okay,
like
good.
pretty
How do you
girl.
handle that? You block them or you just ignore it?
Just ignore it. Or what I do is I direct them to you. I'm like, if you
Oh,
want
yeah.
to find
Oh,
me,
you
go
meant to
to
send
me.
this message to Austin. Go direct your gayness towards Austin, please.
That's what I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. You're a horny dude that only follows girls on Instagram. Go direct that at Austin. Thanks, Rebecca. Jesus Christ.
But I am. I'm like, you want to know how I did it? Go follow the futures course. Like,
Yeah, send the dick pics over to Austin. Great
right?
idea. Thanks, thanks. No,
Well,
so okay, that's interesting. I think that surprised me too when I asked Tori that. She said, not as many as you think." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So guys maybe aren't as creepy as they make us out to be. You know what I'm saying? That's good.
yeah.
How do you find it like entertaining almost to be a female? Like I feel like you kind of like it that you're like one of the few girls.
Oh,
Christine,
for
same thing.
sure.
You like it. You guys like the attention.
Of course.
For
Yes.
sure. For
Yes.
sure.
I mean, like, it's helped me with my social media game for sure.
You're gonna
I've been,
blow up. You're gonna pass James and Evan. They're gonna be like, "What the fuck?" And they're gonna go get a boob job. Maybe Evan or James will transition and become a tranny to try to keep up with your YouTube growth
just for the likes, the
just
things
for the
for
views.
the likes,
Yep.
for the affiliate codes. Um, yeah, I mean, I've always been that way though. Like, I rode a motorcycle. I like played all the sports. Like, I've been, a little bit of shock factor, but then I also really enjoy it. But yeah, you can't deny that it's kind of fun.
So how are you finding the content creation now that you're documenting the journey? How has that helped? Has it hurt your trading? Are you more busy?
No,
Like, no?
no, it helps because I know that I'm like, oh, frick, I'm gonna have to record this on video and like show people. Because if you're gonna do it, you better be transparent about it, or else like PW is gonna hunt you down and ruin your life. So I don't want him to come and ruin my life. I love my life.
I agree.
PW, I
Yeah.
have
So
children. I have children, PW. Leave me alone.
no, he won't bother anybody. Maybe speak to the traders right now, because a lot of people are listening that are not sharing their journey. Why would you recommend it would be good to do that?
It keeps you accountable. Like it really does keep you accountable. Like you've said multiple times, if someone kind of goes dark in the black shirt club, you know that they probably made a few bad choices, or like
Unfortunately,
fallen off their plan, I guess I should say. So it keeps you accountable. And also, like, trading is super lonely. So it's kind of fun. If you're able to like block out the negative side of it and you're able to get the good side of the good, encouraging, supportive side of it, then why not?
I love it. I think too, it's like you embrace where you are in the process, in your journey. You
Mm-hmm.
put yourself out there. You're probably a little surprised at how much positive feedback you get, aren't you? You get
Yeah,
so many positive comments. So as many weirdos as I think there are, I think you get way more positive feedback so far.
I do. I think that, I don't know if it's been recent because I haven't been around enough to say, but I think, like, in my experience since being on Twitter and social media, whatever we want to call it, it's toxic. Like, it's really toxic. So I think to come at it as like I take my trading very seriously, but I'm also like, frick, if you're not going to make it lighthearted and funny and like make it fun, why are you doing it? Why, like, if it's something that's ruining your life, maybe you should take a look at that.
You
Like,
can take
there's
it
so
serious, but not too serious, right?
not
Or
too
take
serious. Of course,
yourself
I
too
take it serious. I
serious.
take money serious, take profit. Like, I
Yes.
take the process serious. I want to continually get better every single day, but I'm not like. And I
Obsessed.
think that also has to say about how I can like walk away from a red day. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, come back at it tomorrow. And
Yeah.
that's the same with social media. I think it's nice to build a positive culture around it. On like I'm not taking money from you. You're not taking money from me. We're not taking money from each other. Why don't we want each other to make as much money as possible? Makes no sense to me.
What has been a big impact as far as like traders other than me? Books, YouTube channels, any resources you would recommend to people?
Yeah,
Twitter accounts?
yes, The Best Loser Wins was like a game-changing book for me. I think a lot of people talk about that book. Just really shifted my mindset around losers and how to handle losing. And then Pax, I follow on Twitter. He gives like really good, like encouraging messages, first of all, but also really good level read, like macro read of the charts that I just don't have. And
Yeah.
then same with Adam Mancini. Like, I really like seeing how he views the charts. They're both ES. So I trade MES. So for me, it's really helpful to like tune in. I get on Twitter and I look at them like before I even open my charts, see what's kind of happening. Um, they don't like influence my trading because Adam is definitely like he trades long more than he does trade short. So it's different, but I follow them.
What have you thought about being on stream? How have you enjoyed coming on ASFX TV?
I like it. I will take Thursday mornings, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. How do you feel about taking trades in front of people?
Oh, it's fine. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Some people get nervous at first.
The reality is the trade's going to go the same whether you're taking it by yourself or if you're in front of people. So
People just don't like the accountability. You've been sharing every trade you take in the Black Shirt Club for months. So that's why it's like you are comfortable to share all your trades. Some people don't like that.
I'm
So
also confident in my strategy, and it's not going to work out every time. And I think people need to see that. Just because you have a good strategy doesn't mean it's 100% win rate. How are you going to handle when you lose?
do you have any tips for people that don't feel confident in their strategy? Like one, two, three, three
Chart time,
things.
chart time, chart time, chart
I
time.
was going to say, what are the three things to do? Chart time, chart time, chart time, chart time. No, maybe be more specific. How can you develop confidence in your strategy?
I think that something I did was sizing way down and letting my trades play out fully. So put on one micro. Like, if you have a strategy that you're testing, maybe this is controversial. I don't recommend paper trading or demo trading because it has no emotional aspect in it at all. You might absolutely slay a demo account and then you come to like a combine or something funded and all of a sudden you're overwhelmed by the emotional aspect of it, the psychological aspect of it. So I don't recommend that. So buy an account, trade one micro, trade your strategy and see it through. The worst thing that happens is like the most that you'll lose, like if you're trading one micro on MES, that's $5. Like, it's got to go significantly against you to lose like a really big chunk of money.
100%.
Mhm.
100%. All right, Rebecca. I think I'll let you go. I got plenty of notes here. Any other last tips you want to leave the people with for now?
Yes, I would say one thing that also had changed the game for me is don't trade when you need the money. I say it again and again and again. Don't trade when you need the money. I was just watching Formula One because I always wanted to be a race car
Love that.
driver.
Love that.
And they say in there, like, the pressure gets to you. And when I'm not, it's kind of a similar, it's like a professional athlete being a trader.
Yeah.
And if you have this pressure on you, how do you trade under pressure? And for most people, really poorly.
Yep.
If you have
Totally agree.
bills to pay, go work a 9 to 5 and then trade on the side.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll put the YouTube, we'll put the Twitter. Anything else? I know you're not doing a ton of Instagram.
I mean, I'm on Instagram, but actually, you know what? The most clicked thing in my link tree is my Instagram. Isn't that
Really?
crazy? Yeah, and I haven't posted in like freaking forever.
More bikini pics and you'll get more likes. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh God, Austin, 2 kids later, no one wants to see that.
Put a picture of your ass while you're trading. People will go nuts. That's what I thought about doing, but I didn't want to get a bunch of certain type of followers.
Go wax it first.
Yeah, right. They won't be following me for trading if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? No, but this is really, really good, Rebecca. Everybody, if you watched all the way through, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the links in the description. Connect with Rebecca, please. And then come check us out. She's with me on ASFX TV. She's also doing a lot on Twitter with her own stuff, with her own videos. So just deep dive it. And if you have any questions for Rebecca, put them in the comments on YouTube. We'll do a part 2, I'm sure, at some point, and we'll pull from those questions to make sure we satisfy the audience. So, Rebecca, thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend. Have a good rest of your day. Listeners, make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you guys next week in the next episode.
Bye.